What made you quit a job on the spot? I worked as a pharmacy tech at this little drugstore called Peterson's Pharmacy for almost 2 years. Mrs. Williams came in every Tuesday for her heart medication and always brought me cookies. Mr. Davis would tell me stories about his grandkids while I counted out his diabetes pills. It felt good knowing I was helping people stay healthy. But the owner, Mr. Darren, was always cutting corners to save money. He'd reuse pill bottles without washing them properly, which made my skin crawl. He kept expired cough drops and vitamins on the shelves way past their dates, just slapping new price stickers over the old ones. When I brought it up, he'd wave me off and say customers never check dates anyway. He also had this habit of writing prices on sticky notes instead of using the computer system, so he could change them whenever he felt like charging more. I let most of it slide because I needed the job. My rent was due every month whether I liked his methods or not. But then one morning in June, everything changed. It was a Tuesday, hot as hell outside, and I came in early to open the store. The moment I walked behind the counter, I smelled something weird, kind of sour and warm, like milk that had been sitting out too long. I followed my nose to the medication fridge where we kept all the temperature-sensitive stuff: insulin for diabetics, vaccines for kids, special eye drops, antibiotics that had to stay cold. These weren't just regular pills. These were life-saving medications that people absolutely depended on. I checked the digital thermometer on the fridge door and my heart dropped. 19 degrees Celsius, 66 degrees Fahrenheit, way too warm. These medications needed to be between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius to stay good. Anything warmer and they'd spoil, become useless, or even dangerous. I opened the fridge door and touched one of the insulin boxes. It was warm to the touch. Some of the vaccine boxes had condensation on them, which meant they'd been warm for a while. I immediately called Mr. Darren at home. It was barely 7 in the morning, but this was an emergency. He answered on the 4th ring, sounding annoyed that I'd woken him up. When I explained what happened with the fridge, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Just turn it back down to 5 degrees and don't worry about it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Mr. Darren, these medications might be ruined. People could get really sick if we sell them bad insulin or vaccines that don't work anymore." He sighed like I was being dramatic. "Natalie, those boxes probably weren't warm for very long. Just wipe off any water drops and put everything back in the fridge. No one will know the difference." My hands were shaking as I looked at the shipment records. Some of these medications had been delivered the Friday before. That meant they could have been sitting at room temperature for 4 whole days. 4 days of insulin slowly breaking down. 4 days of vaccines becoming useless. I thought about Mrs. Williams and her heart condition. What if she needed emergency insulin and got a spoiled batch? "We need to report this to the state board and destroy these medications," I told him. "It's the law. We can't sell drugs that might not work." Mr. Darren's voice got sharp. "Look, I'm not throwing away thousands of dollars worth of inventory because the fridge hiccuped for a few hours. If you don't like how I run my business, you can go home." I stared at those warm medicine boxes, thinking about all the people who trusted us to keep them safe. Kids getting vaccines that might not protect them. Diabetics injecting insulin that could send their blood sugar through the roof. Elderly people taking antibiotics that wouldn't fight their infections. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. The fridge thermometer showing 19 degrees, the condensation on the vaccine boxes, the insulin that felt warm in my hands, the shipment dates proving how long everything had been sitting there. Mr. Darren kept talking in my ear, telling me to stop being difficult and just fix the temperature. I hung up on him. I took off my name tag, grabbed my purse, and walked out of that store without looking back. The bell above the door chimed as I left, the same cheerful sound I'd heard every day for 2 years. But this time it felt like a goodbye. That afternoon, I sat in my car outside the county health department building, looking at the photos on my phone. Then I walked inside and filed a complaint with the State Board of Pharmacy. I told them everything: the warm fridge, the expired medications on the shelves, the reused bottles, the whole mess. By Friday, there were state inspectors crawling all over Peterson's Pharmacy.